What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I'm gonna break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm gonna break down what's going on with the economic calendar as we have some big data coming out very soon. What the news is saying about Tesla, what you should be watching for as time progresses. But before I break into all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with Tesla and the market. Looking at Tesla, we had a very nice uptrend today. In my video from yesterday, I was saying Tesla is going to most likely test the 258 resistance. If we broke this, you're going to be watching the yellow trend line of resistance. If we manage to break above that too, Tesla would turn very bullish and expect a nice push to the upside. This was our quote unquote bull test that I was talking about, and Tesla has passed the test. It's looking quite strong thus far. Now, with this happening, there's a lot of hype associated with the big deliveries event. So Tesla's looking very bullish and very strong, and we're going to see a very big move starting next year as well. Now the question is, how will Tesla move and what's happening with the markets? What's happening with the news? I want to talk about that first before I break down more details about Tesla's charts and the others. Let me first mention that tomorrow for the whole market, 1 hour before the market opens, we have initial jobless claims, continuing jobless claims, and lots of data coming out. We want initial jobless claims to be between 207 and 210,000. It needs to be somewhere between there. If it's much higher than that, that could still be a little mixed for the markets, causing a little gap down before a bounce. And if it's as expected, the market may like the news and start pushing even more. And then when it comes to all of this, I just want to mention that the 4-week bill auction, the 8-week bill auctions are also coming out at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you pay very close attention to those as well. For Friday, it's going to be a very quiet day as we have the Chicago PMI report in terms of data. Nothing else coming out in terms of data, but the market could still rip to the upside as it's going to be the last trading day of the year. And a lot of these big banks, these hedge funds want some good looking balance sheets. So we might see even more upside going into Friday as we approach the end of the year. All right, so for tomorrow, however, don't forget that we just have initial jobless claims in the morning, an hour before market open, and everything else is kind of minor. We also have some bill auctions coming out, but that's pretty much it. Now, the fear and greed index is still at extreme greed. This is typically what happens when the market's in a topping process, but right now, I don't think the market's ready to top. The market may have more upside coming to end the year. So that's very important. We're at extreme greed right now. We're at these extremes. This is what tends to happen when a pullback could be coming soon. I think that in January, excuse me, we might see some kind of pullback coming because of this, but it may not happen immediately. It could take a couple of more weeks. So make sure you're very patient and you're prepared for that. Now, just because I'm saying there's the extreme greed is being met on the fear and greed index, that does not mean that we have to pull back tomorrow. Could take another couple of weeks. As of right now, the market is still bullish, but just keep this as a warning for the back of your mind. Now, some other pieces of news coming out: the Dow Jones has closed 100 points higher. The S&P 500 is getting close to new all-time highs, and the market's continuing to pump very hard. Now, this is very important because as the market is continuing to pump, investors are getting more and more riled up. They're getting more excited. And this is why sentiment is very greedy right now. But once again, be careful at these extremes, especially going into next year. Things could change very quickly, anyways. So now I just want to talk about some news involving Tesla. We have some big news that came out. Basically, Tesla just tweeted this not too long ago, and they're basically saying that Reuters published an article that leads with a wildly misleading headlines. That's very important. They're using like incorrect information, and they want to clarify this. So the headlines, and I actually saw this headline before. Now I can't really find it as much, but this is actually very important. They're saying that Tesla blamed drivers for failures of parts it knew were defective. And that's very important. They're claiming that that's what ended up happening. But in the reality of the situation, and this was buried in the article, Tesla paid for most of the 120,000 vehicle repairs under warranty, right? So they're basically, making this fake story, if you want to just go that route, and they're using headlines which are very misleading. And this is not good whatsoever. Looking at the context, Tesla has very good systems out there to identify emergency issues, determining how things are looking and if service improvements are needed. And they use those to take action as fast as possible. The warranties also help Tesla pay for many of those repairs. maybe not for everything, but for most of them, and that's very, very important. So with that being said, they actually broke down more details about this. I'm not going to go into the every specific detail, but it's very important to remember, guys, that headlines, these news companies, they want your clicks and they have very, very outrageous, crazy stories just to get those clicks. Not everything in a headline is always the truth. I've said this many times as well. Another example of this is when we keep seeing these headlines saying Tesla has these massive recalls, Tesla's this and that. But in the reality of the situation, it's not actually a massive, massive recall, but it's just Tesla fixing something with the over the air software update. So, once again, guys, make sure you guys are very careful with what you read about Tesla. Look at the context and don't believe everything you see at first glance, especially those negative headlines, as many of these outlets have agendas. Now, on top of this, the Tesla Model Y refresh is coming in a couple of months. That is once again great news for them. This is going to be important for them because it's going to help improve their products, get more demand back in. And this is very popular, especially in China. That's some very, very big news. They're actually conducting preparation work in China for its refreshed Model Y Sport utility vehicle and the mass production, which is going to start very soon in mid like 2024. That's also very important, but the first batch of the newest Model Ys are still going to be made with the second phase of the Shanghai factory, which is going to suspend production for about a week during the New Year holiday, and then that's when we're going to see some partial upgrades and then more upgrades as the months go on. That's once again very, very great news for them in a way, because once again, you want to just see them refresh their models, improve them, and do what's best for their customers. And this is going to bring in more demand. I'm very excited about this for the next year. I can't wait for what the future holds. Now, other analysts out there are saying, and they're still criticizing Tesla. I actually saw this. I'm not showing all the articles, but they're saying that Tesla meeting 1.8 million vehicle deliveries is not meeting Elon Musk's ambition of 2 million, which, in my opinion, is still okay if you consider like the circumstances Tesla's in. You have to consider that. Look at what Ford and GM are starting to do. They're starting to transition away from EVs and going hybrid just temporarily. They're doing this because they know going EV right now is very difficult. Prioritizing EVs is hard in this current market, looking at the interest rates and such, especially when some of them have quite tight margins, because for them to be profitable, they have to like mass produce them, and that's very tight for them. And they don't want to like go down that route, at least for the time being, for the super short term. So I just want to say it's very impressive what Tesla is doing. I believe that their deliveries are going to be very impressive, and I'm very excited for what the future holds nonetheless. Now, let's add on to all of this. Analyst grades are coming out. RBC Capital saying Tesla's going to outperform the market, which is very bullish. Tesla's price per ratio is going up as Tesla's gaining strength relative to the markets. And on top of all of this, Tesla is, in my opinion, looking quite decent. We have a 48% win percentage on Thursdays. It's almost 50-50. Look for volatility at noon and 2 p.m. 2 p.m. tends to be the most volatile hour historically for Tesla. And then, although Decembers are historically kind of like 50-50 for Tesla in terms of green to red, I think that there's a good chance we're going to get a very strong close for December. There's going to be a strong close for the end of the year for Tesla too, as Tesla's still holding up nicely. Volume is at about 106 million. It's not the strongest of volume, but it's still holding up, which is still quite good. So what do I see for the charts? Let's now break down some news for Tesla and how the charts are looking. Tesla, in my opinion, on the 4-hour time frame is looking bullish. We have a nice push on the PPO. And on the daily time frame, I just want to call out Tesla's once again looking bullish, got a nice break above the 200 EMA, trying to break those highs. And then on the weekly time frame, Tesla is still looking quite strong. It's about to test resistance very close to 265 at the 50 EMA, which is one resistance that has stopped it on the weekly. So we could see Tesla try to get to 265. There's definitely upside potential, and overall it looks bullish on the bigger time frames. But what about on the more meticulous charts when it comes to these levels? As a reminder, guys, this orange trend line right here is just like historical resistance. I drew this on the daily, so it looks kind of off right now, but this orange trend line is historical resistance. This yellow trend line is support, which became resistance at one point, and now it's back to support. Just wanted to show you guys where these lines came from. So zooming into the chart on Tesla, it's looking bullish overall. It looks bullish. We got a nice break. I was talking about this test at 258, which Tesla passed, and we got a nice push from there. Now, if we're looking at Tesla, we're going to be watching this critical yellow trend line, because notice how historically, when Tesla was trading around the yellow trend line just a few weeks ago, we broke out of this. We touched it and bounced, touched it and bounced, touched it and bounced, and we're holding up very nicely. Now we broke below this. We're trying to break out again. We got a rejection off of it initially. Now we're breaking out again, looking bullish overall. So what is likely going to happen moving forward? We have resistance at the orange trend line, so I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla kind of like pops like this again. It could even get very close to like 265. It might come back down towards the yellow trend line and just continue to uptrend and uptrend and uptrend very nicely and then try to break into the 260s. We could see something like this approaching deliveries, a nice push to the upside, and we could see a nice looking like squeeze on Tesla just that just continues. So in my opinion, Tesla is looking bullish overall. The odds do favor the upside like this. If you want to turn bearish, you want to see this thing first. I mean, we have a key support right now at the yellow trend line. It tried to break it today, but then the buyers came back and defended, so it didn't actually officially break it. It tried to, but it failed to break it. If we lose 262 or so in the yellow trend line, watch that 260 support. That's going to be key for us. 260 is going to be our key level. If that fails us, then there's going to be 258 coming next at this imbalance. That's going to be a key support. And below that, we could turn a bit more bearish. But like I said before, 258, 260, 262 are three supports. And then for resistance, you have basically this 265 zone. Overall, it's on a nice uptrend, still pushing upwards and still looking bullish. So Tesla, in my opinion, is still uptrending. It's still looking bullish overall. It's holding above the yellow trend line, which favors the bulls. And overall, there's a good chance of it continuing to uptrend. However, just to be safe, make sure you watch the yellow trend line for support. There's a good chance Tesla's going to push up more for at least 265 plus, and the chart looks bullish in my honest opinion. But watch that yellow trend line just to be safe. Now, as far as SPY goes, I just want to mention that SPY is looking bullish. Now, we had this rising wedge like pattern that's developed, but this could be a trap for retail since we haven't officially gone to break it. I just warned you guys to watch this carefully. But we could still uptrend for the remainder of the year and just continue to hold up. Now, how we hold 476 is key because we had some tight resistance there. If we continue to hold it, I think it's going to push up for 478. If we end up losing it, watch 475 as key support, and below that we have 474.8, 474, then 473, which is where we have the gap fill. Those are supports, and that's resistance. What do I think is going to happen? I think we're going to see this thing maybe, it depends on initial jobless claims, of course, but I think at the end of the day, we tend to see nice pumps on SPY. Last few closes have been very strong. I think that it's going to try to hold above 476. If it achieves that, 478 could be a very reasonable target as it tries to break all-time highs. It might just remain strong for the remainder of the year as the odds are now favoring the bulls. As far as the QQQ goes, it's also favoring the bulls a bit more with a nice uptrend. There's a rising wedge forming, but there's no sign of this thing truly getting a big break to the downside yet. Now, if it does get a little breakdown, it could just be a false break. To be bearish, like I said earlier, guys, you need to see a change in market structure. You need to see this thing break like this, lose 410 or so, establish a lower high and then break down like that. That's how you're going to turn bearish on this chart. But it hasn't done that yet. Instead, it's just making higher highs and higher lows, uptrend just continuing to push higher, make its way up towards that like 412 area. Overall, it's bullish. The chart's looking bullish and it definitely has upside potential. I think that there is, in my opinion, more potential for 412 plus to be coming. So it might come down a little bit, back test this demand zone right over here, could come back down to the 410s, then bounce and push it for 412. Overall, the chart is still bullish. It may remain bullish for the end of the year. For Nvidia, we look bullish. I think it's going to be approaching 500 very soon. Just wanted to show you guys this. I forgot to mention that on SPY, the daily looks bullish too. So does the QQQ. But on Nvidia, the daily is also looking quite decent. We have this imbalance to fill basically very close to that high area. A nice inverse head and shoulder structure has developed, and I think that we might see this thing try to push up higher. I also want to add that NVIDIA is holding above the 20 EMA nicely. We have a rising wedge that's developing, but there's no sign of a breakdown yet. To turn bearish, you want to see this thing break down and lose 490 to 488. We could actually drop a little bit if we do lose that. To be bullish, you want to see it continue to uptrend and try to get up to 498 and break that. If that's the case, 500 is coming. What do I favor? I think that there's a very good chance NVIDIA is going to do this. Just continue to uptrend overall, respect this channel, and then push up towards the 500 area to fill that imbalance and just continue to break to the upside. There's a very good chance that's going to happen. I think that NVIDIA looks bullish, and I think that it's going to get very close to 500. As far as Aapl goes, I just want to mention that Aapl, in my opinion, has a nice falling wedge, and we just got a breakout right here, but make sure you watch that 193.5 area. So we haven't gotten confirmation of a true bullish break yet. We need to see if this thing establishes like a higher low like this, then we start breaking. I want to see it break 193.5, then at least get to 194.4 to turn bullish. Hasn't done that quite yet. If you're bearish, you want to see it lose 192. If you're bullish, you want to see it break above 193.5, then break to 194.4. In my opinion, there's a good chance we're going to see some upside and 194 plus is coming. So we got a nice bullish breakout. Got a nice balance here. We could try to break out from here. We're going to be looking for more potential upside from there. The odds do favor this thing trying to break to the upside, but for now, make sure you watch and see if you get confirmation for break above 193.5. Apple's trying to break out of this falling wedge, but sometimes there could be false breaks. So make sure you watch and see if we break out first to turn bullish. With that being said, I went over the majority of the pieces of news and the charts I wanted to go over. Now I'm just going to transition to just a few more and be kind of quick with this part. So looking at SoFi, we look quite bullish in my opinion. I think that our targets are going to be 11 and 11.7 when I checked the chart last. I think it has more upside potential since it's broken above the weekly 200 EMA. And I think that 11 and 11.7 are some nice targets as the charts looks bullish. The IWM, my target was 205. We got to 204.8. If we continue to break out, we can get very close to 210 then 212. Overall, the daily and the weekly look bullish. On Microsoft, we're looking kind of flat right now. It's been stuck between 370 and 376 for the last couple of days. Going to be looking for a push towards 375 plus. In my opinion, it has upside potential. On AMD, 150 plus is likely coming. Going to be looking for a push and a break to the upside. If anything looks bullish, on SPX, like I said, for SPY, looks bullish too. Going to be looking for new all-time highs. It's very probable as well. For the VIX, we're looking kind of bearish on the daily. It tried to break out and it failed, rejecting off the 50 EMA, and it's coming back down. So it's looking kind of weak to me. As QQ looks kind of weak, coming back down. No sign of this thing breaking out yet. Dollar's looking weak as this thing broke below 100 points. Well, it basically broke below 101, and it's looking very bearish right now in terms of its trend, especially on the daily. It's going to approach 100 very soon as it looks weak. Coinbase had bullish news. Is breaking out. You'll be looking for a 190 retest. That's where historical resistance happens to be. If that breaks, we're going to be looking for 200 to be coming because 200 is going to be our key resistance. We're going to be watching to see if we can get all the way up there. Above 200, we have like 212 coming, but overall, I think that we should watch for 190 first. Coinbase looks bullish. Google looks like it might drop a little bit more and then try to bounce. Looks a little bearish on the 4-hour time frame. I think that 139.5 to 140 could be tested in a retest of the 50 EMA, then a bounce. Might drop a little bit more than bounce. I'm going to be looking for that very, very carefully. On Amazon, I'm going to be looking for basically, we have this downward trend that's basically developing right over here. If we lose this support, I'm going to be looking for 151.91 to 152. Could drop a little bit more than bounce. And I think that overall is kind of stationary, not really doing a whole lot. So it's kind of boring. It might drop 1 point and bounce and just get stuck in this range. Same thing with Meta. It's been range trading for the last couple of days with a slow uptrend. Going to be looking for a back test of 357 flats, then a bounce and a push for 360. We'll see if we can get up there. We're about to get a bullish cross in the PPO, so I think 360 plus is a possibility. But for the most part, I think it's going to be range bound and not really do anything too crazy. All right, that's it for the main charts, guys. I think the market is still trying to close the year very strongly, and we'll see what happens going into next year as we have some new developments. With that being said, have a great day, remain calm, cool, and collected, and remember very carefully to watch this trend on Tesla. Don't forget to be watching the very important trend line I have drawn out, and to watch our very key levels very, very carefully. Tesla is looking very strong right now. It has a good chance of more upside, but watch these levels just to be safe, no matter which way it goes. I'm leaning more bullish on Tesla, but I always want to watch the levels and be unbiased when I do my analysis. So please have a great day. It looks like it favors the bulls, and then do what you have to do, guys. Have a great evening. Uh, Remain calm, cool, and collected at all times. And I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow morning. Tesla to the moon because the long term is still incredibly bright. And peace out.